All right, gang, we're putting everything together today. We're going gram to gram calculations. So to do a gram to gram calculation, I need to think of this ratio. I know that I'm going to start with grams of one thing. In order to get from grams of one thing, I can only go to moles of that thing. How do I get from grams to mole? I use my molar mass. So I have moles of one thing. I want to get to moles of another thing. I can do the mole ratio. Once again, the mole ratio is from that balanced chemical equation. So I need to make sure that I have a balanced chemical equation when I do my mole ratio. Then I'm in moles of my other compound that I actually want. To get to grams of it, I simply go through the molar mass again. This is why it was so important that I actually set up all of my work I've been doing in the past couple days in fraction form so that I can do dimensional analysis. That way I can see what units cancel. I can't magically wave a wand and get units to cancel. I need them to cancel based on this. All right, gang, here we go. We are going to take everything we've done in the last couple of days and put it all together today. So we're going to do actual stoichiometry right now. And that means we're looking at those relative quantities and how they compare in chemistry. So the question we're going to start with is how many grams of chlorine are needed to make 56.9 grams of sodium chloride? So I have the equation. Notice the equation is conveniently already balanced for me. Do not expect equations to be balanced. You need to check them all the time. This will not work if you don't balance that equation. So I'm going to start with what I know. So I know that I have 56.9 grams of sodium chloride, and I put it over 1 because we all know any number over 1 is itself. So because I know you love fractions so much, we're doing our dimensional analysis, and it's easier if it's in a fraction form. I don't care if you put yours over 1 or if you just write your number. You are a class that I understand you know over 1 means the same thing. So it's okay if you don't put it over 1. I always do, just to make life easier so I can see what's happening. So I can see that I've got grams of sodium chloride right up here, which means if I want it to cancel, it's going to have to be on the bottom of a fraction. Well, if I'm at grams of one thing, the only way to get to grams of another thing is to go through the mole. I can't compare a gram of one thing to a gram of another. I can compare a mole of one thing to a mole of another, but I can't compare a gram to a gram. So I know that I need to put 58.44 grams of sodium chloride on the bottom. Where did I get 58.44 grams? Well, that's its molar mass. I took the 22.990 of sodium plus the 35.45 grams of chlorine, added them together, and I got 58.44. Now I know molar mass is grams per mole, so I know that for every 58.44 grams of sodium chloride I have 1 mole of sodium chloride. So at this point, I know that my grams of sodium chloride has canceled. I don't want moles of sodium chloride, though, do I? I want grams of chlorine. So I need to cancel that moles of sodium chloride, so that goes on the bottom. Why is there a 2 there? Well, in my balanced equation, I know there are 2 moles of sodium chloride. Once again, I didn't want sodium chloride, so I need to cancel it. So that's why I canceled it. The only way I can compare sodium chloride to chlorine is through the mole. So I go back up to that equation. There is no number there, so that must mean there's a 1. So I know there is 1 mole of chlorine. So once again, moles of sodium chloride cancel. Like I said, I don't want moles of sodium. I don't want moles of chlorine. I want grams of chlorine. So to get grams of chlorine, I need to put mole on the bottom. Well, how many grams are in a mole of chlorine? Well, molar mass. 35.45 times 2 gives me 70.90 grams of Cl2. Now, we have these big honking handy-dandy calculators, and we're just going to put this into our calculator. So I go piece by piece. So I'm going to take 56.99 grams divided by 58.44, then divided by 2 times 70.9. If it bothers you, you can put the 1s in there. Totally up to you. it isn't going to factor into your math. It'll work both ways. So up to you how you do that. So when I do the math, I get a beautiful answer of 34.5158282 grams of chlorine. Well, when I go back to that initial problem, I had 56.9. That's 3 sig figs, so I'm only allowed 3. So 3, 4, 5 are all that matter. The 1 doesn't make the 5 round, so I know that my final answer is 34.5 grams of chlorine.